coming into the weekend, has the ability to pass him up. So we'll see if he can have another great weekend here in the Open Series. He's always on the outside looking in. A lot of top 16 and top 32 finishes for Danny. See if he can make a top 8 this weekend. As he starts things off with a Sandstep Citadel, VanMeter will start it off with a Windswept Teeth, which you have to imagine is going to go find a Plains, and we'll see what the turn 1 play will be.
Chris was on Twitter yesterday, I believe, asking for specifically this piece of artwork for his Plains.
I believe it's a Portal Plains?
Yes.
I believe, yes. Look at me.
And he has 3. We'll see if he was able to get his deck together.
Favorite Hoplite is how Chris started things off. A Thoughtseize does reveal another one of those beautiful Plains. You also find a Seeker of the Way, a Hero of Aerois. Let's make it 2 of those, along with a Forest and a Defiant Strike here for VanMeter.
I think that you take Defiant Strike and let Chris' deck just be 2/2s for 2.
My favorite kind of creature.
This is the type of hand that is very vulnerable to Languish, which is a new tool that Abzan Control has picked up.
Another Citadel there for Jessup. And we go back to VanMeter. There's another Plains, an attack for 1. And now which 2-drop will it be here for Chris? That is the question. I'll go with Hero of Aerois. Jessup will draw. Looks like he picked up a copy of Courser of Crewfix for the turn.
Great draw here because as it stands, Chris can't punch through it.
Yeah, it is a roadblock. For how long? Well, we'll have to find that out.
Really bad news for a heroic deck, though, if Courser Crewfix is a stop sign.
Yes.
Normally, that's easy enough to play over, but Chris has had no ability to trigger heroic thus far, has only drawn Defiant Strike. That got hit with Thoughtseize. Has no blue mana, so some of his other draws are no good right now. And if this game grinds down to a halt, it really favors Danny.
Basic Forest, the weapon of choice there for Jessup. Top card is Nabzan Charm. And a VanMeter we go. He'll take a draw step here with his 2 Plains, favorite Hoplite, and Hero of Aerois on the battlefield. Another copy of Seeker of the Way. A lot of creatures over there for VanMeter. Unusual draw for a heroic deck.
I would attack with just Hero of Aerois.
I love it. Represent Defiant Strike.
There's no way Danny's blocking. Come on.
If I was playing against you, I would snap you off.
Yeah, it's different if you're playing against me.
Yeah.
But Chris here, I would have just untapped, tanked for 2 seconds, and attacked with Hero of Aerois. I don't think he's winning this game unless he gets in a couple free shots here and there.
Probably too much of a giveaway now if he tanks this long and attacks.
Yeah, this is less convincing now. Maybe it's more convincing. Okay.
See, I don't love the attack with both, though.
Right. One is a much harder sell.
Yeah.
The problem is that how is favorite Hoplite pumping enough for this to be a factor, you know?
That's exactly why
so
I think...
yeah, just put it here.
Yeah, that block is so easy.
Yeah, I think that just attacking with Hero of Aerois, it's much harder for Danny to block.
Also, well, maybe not. I was thinking, post-combat, Chris is going to play something. We'll see if he leaves up 1 white mana or not for Defiant Strike. But, if a Defiant Strike isn't being cast there in combat, like on Hero of Aerois, then I'm going to take my opponent off it next turn.
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing to represent at this point. Chris made a bluff. It got called. And now you can't pretend like you had something. Because if you did, you would have cast it inside of combat there.
Like it sort of got called, right? Like if I'm Danny and if I block the favorite Hoplite with the Courser, because there's a reason for Chris to Defiant Strike his favorite Hoplite, which is to make sure that it doesn't die. But at the same time, I feel like he would Defiant Strike his Hero of Aerois to make it larger and draw a card. But I suppose you can make the argument of like, okay, I'm fine losing my favorite Hoplite here in this instance and being able to cast Defiant Strike this turn on this board.
I think the problem is that if Chris has Defiant Strike, he's just attacking with Hero of Iroas.
Sure.
There's no reason to get the favorite hoplite involved. And so it's trivial for Danny to call at that point because there's no trick he can put Chris on, and the whole thing just feels pretty weird. So you get to see what's going on. If it's nothing, maybe you would prefer to kill Hero of Iroas, but the bluff is so much riskier that you're just blocking your favorite hoplite, I think, every single time.
Also now, if you're Danny, the block is a lot easier because you have Abzan Charm in your hand.
Yeah.
So you can just make your Courser into a 4/6. So you're certainly not worried about favorite hoplite now. Or excuse me, you're not worried about Defiant Strike anymore. It's actually of no concern.
That's the issue I had with Chris's attack was when you're going to bluff, you need a bluff representing the card that you have, that you're trying to get your opponent to play around. And attacking with the favorite hoplite does not make a lot of sense if Defiant Strike is the card that Chris has in actuality. So at that point, it's kind of confusing what the attack is about, but it seems pretty safe to block the favorite hoplite to just find out what's going on.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened.
See another block here. This time it's on Seeker of the Way. 3 damage will come across. Jessup down to 11. Manic Influence. A couple more Knuckleheads.
Nice squad.
Here's a, okay. BioBlight's going to clean up a couple of these. That's a 1 of BioBlight there from Jessup.
Yep. Card that's gone down in popularity as these decks have incorporated Nissa, and double black is a little bit more problematic.
Jessup having some mana issues, even though he has Courser on the battlefield. Siege Rhino was to draw Abzan Charm on top of the deck. Does have an Abzan Charm in hand. He could pay 2 life to draw 2 cards and try to work his way into lands, but perhaps he wants to keep leaving this shield up.
I wouldn't Abzan Charm right now in Hunt of a Land because you have an Abzan Charm on top. I'm happy saying go, using it as protection, and if Chris makes a move, you Abzan Charm the threat, and if he doesn't, then you draw 2 cards. But I don't think Danny should main phase it. For example, Chris now, if he drew an Ordeal, has nothing to do with it.
Sure. It's a very unheroic-like draw here for VanMeter. And Jessup going to draw 2 cards at the expense of 2 life. Top card of the deck now is Ultimate Price. Hero's Downfall, Abzan Charm withdraws. He'll untap, draw that Ultimate Price. Can he finally find a land? No!
It's funny because on one hand, Danny should be a little bit frustrated because with land number 4, he starts casting Siege Rhinos and that's it. On the other hand, the cards he's drawing are all removal spells. It's not the worst place to be.
He has removal for days. And he'll just pass the turn back. 7 cards in hand, I believe. 3 of which appear to be Siege Rhinos. There are worse spots to be in. VanMeter, I believe, picked up a copy of Battlewise Hoplite for the turn. He's going to reaching for that Manic Influence. Taking 1 to deploy the Hoplite. Last card in Chris's hand is a copy of God's Willing. Here's Hero's Downfall. Jessup with so much removal in hand, he's just going to start firing off these removal spells when he can.
Yeah, he's in the enviable position that even if these get hit with God's Willing, he doesn't really care all that much. He's just
whatever.
Trading 1 for 1 until he finds his land drops and kills Chris with the Siege Rhinos that are waiting.
2 scries coming, one from Battlewise Hoplites, a Road Trigger, the other from God's Willing, Resolving. So Chris is happy with this configuration. Jessup drew a card, thought he's on top of the deck now, still can't find any lands.
But there's still no real burden for Danny to make a move here. He says go. Chris can't really do anything with whatever he draws. And then in turn, Danny fires off another removal spell. It's not that bad of a place to be.
No, it's really not. Here's Abzan Charm. He's fine. It's frustrating, but outside of that, here's Treasure Cruise, which is even more frustrating.
I wasn't a big fan of Danny casting the removal spell in the main phase there, because as long as he's holding up removal, if Chris draws an Ordeal or Defiant Strike or something like that, there's not much he can do with it. Now there's an opening for Chris to get something going. he could get an enchantment on a creature potentially with protection.
It gets a little scarier now. Monastery Mentor, one of the draws. Maybe a touch hasty.
Like the reason to Abzan Charm there is if you're worried about Chris drawing a God's Willing.
Okay.
But I'm much more concerned about Chris going, draws Defiant Strike and then hits Ordeal of Thassa. And now suddenly it's a game again, And I would have just preferred, I think, to sit on the Abzan Charm.
Here comes the Seeker of the Way.
I don't think... this is an extremely risky block because if Danny blocks, assuming Chris has a trick, Danny does not hit a land drop next turn and is drawing Thoughtseize.
Yeah. Of course, it's already a 3/3 right now because of the Treasure Cruise.
Right.
But I love the attack. Yeah, Jessup has to take that damage.
Yeah, it's ugly, but I don't think he can really take that
I don't
hit.
think he can block there.
Or excuse me, he can't really block in that spot.
Now VanMeter's got to decide if he wants to deploy anything in main phase 2. He's got Monastery Mentor and Laguna Band Trailblazer in hand. Jessup does have Languish in his deck. Looks like 2 copies this weekend. There's the Mentor. Thoughtseize the draw. Nope. No land for you.
Not only is it not a land,
Might be the worst draw in his deck.
Thoughtseize is worse probably. They're similarly bad.
They're pretty bad. It's bad all the way around. 26 lands in Jessup's deck this weekend. He's going to fire up that Thoughtseize. See a God's Willing and Laguna Band Trailblazer. Go down to 4. Certainly stinks having to cast Thoughtseize there, but this turn is Thoughtseize and Ultimate Price, which isn't so bad. I think you got a price now. Get that thing off the table. What do you think? Attack with the Courser?
No, I'm happy playing decent.
Hold steady? Okay.
I'm happy blocking for a turn.
Well, VanMeter drew something of consequence there. Looks like another copy of Treasure Cruise.
Which he cannot cast.
No. We're playing a weird one here in round 4.
Yeah, this is bizarre because Chris has had both of these draws, you could argue, failed. Chris never got any heroic action going. I think he's triggered heroic once in this game thus far. Looked like it was going to be trivial for Danny to win, but he's just missed these land drops for so long that now it's a game.
Ben, one of the stranger ones. Now, here come the beatdowns. Can't stop, won't stop, I guess.
And I feel like this is a pretty clear-cut block on Seeker of the Way.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing around nothing, it's better to get the Seeker off the table. And if you're playing around something, well, Seeker kills you if you don't block.
Yes.
And Chris is just doing this to get card number 4 in his graveyard so he can Treasure Cruise.
Yep. If it's Defiant Strike, for example, and you block the favorite Hoplite, Defiant Strike just kills you.
Right, yeah, there's...
Yikes. Danny's not going to die this turn, but that's not a good block.
It seems... I get that it's maybe easier going forward not having the heroic creature in play. It's easier to block and chump block, but that was some risky business given the quality of Danny's hand.
Yeah. There's a Temple of Enlightenment. To the bottom. And Jessup makes out of that turn alive. Elspeth's the draw. No,
almost.
Try again. Den Protector will be played as a morph. Good protection against God's Willing. Pass the turn back. Well, if VanMeter finds a Dromoka's command, the game is over. Fight the morph. Have Danny sacrifice an enchantment.
Yep. I bet Chris cannot believe his good fortune that this game is still going on and arguably in his favor right now.
Both these players have had horrible draws.
And both had solid opening hands. It wasn't like they kept sketchy hands.
Here's Defiant Strike. Maybe we're on the hunt. All it takes is one Dromoka's command to get the game over with. God's willing doesn't do it.
Although Valorous Stance is not a bad draw.
There are worse draws.
I mean, you know you lock him out of land for at least one more turn if you want to go down that road.
Yep.
Force a chump block.
Yep. There is Valorous Stance. That'll take care of Forcer. Trigger Prowess yet again. Beatdowns have to block, of course, because it's a lethal attack. You know your opponent's not drawing a land, so you can actually extend it in the board a little bit more if you'd like.
Yep. You just got to beat a downfall.
Yeah.
I mean, you know there's no land number 4 coming.
So now here's the Trailblazer.
And if Chris's leftover is Defiant Strike, which I believe it is,
It is.
he's got it wrapped up.
Yep.
Because he can just target the Trailblazer. He's got 2 lethal threats against 1 removal spell. And he's going to die with like 7 Siege Rhinos in his hand.
Somehow, some way. And what is a very unusual turn of events, to say the least, given how these hands were sculpted up and where we thought this game would go. Yep, there's Hero's Downfall. Has to turn back reluctantly. Show you Defiant Strike. See you later, Alligator. Chris VanMeter's going to win game number 1 here over Danny Jessup. Banteroic will win game number 1 over Abzan Control in a very strange game as we take a
And
look at
now
the
Chris
sideboards.
can have a little bit of a laugh.
A bit of a chuckle.
When you're in that game, of course, you want to keep it serious. You're just playing your cards. But afterwards, Chris can say, yeah, I got pretty lucky there.
To say the least, yes. Sideboard times, we will start with Danny Jessup. He's got 2 Duress, 2 Drown in Sorrow, and a Ravishing Cleric. A Dromoka's Command, and a Johnny Mentor of Heroes, and Garruk Apex Predator, and Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Some more singletons, an Ultimate Price, Murderous Cut, Tragic Arrogance, Read the Bones, and Glare of Heresy.
Love Glare of Heresy, Murderous Cut, Ultimate Price, and the 2 copies of Duress. Not that huge of a fan of Drown in Sorrow in this matchup, as it's not that hard for Chris to get the threats to be too large. But when you see Monastery Mentor in the deck, that's a large enough threat that brings enough tokens with it that Drown in Sorrow might come in for Danny as well.
On VanMeter's side, what do we got?
2 copies of Aqueous Form, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 3 Encased Nice, 2 Treasure Cruise, an Island, a Stratus Dancer, Luguan Trailblazer, 2 copies of Ordeal of Heliod, and Triton Tactics. I think Chris is going to go up to the full playset of Treasure Cruises here. I think the Stratus Dancer could come in as well. I don't mind the Trailblazer is a threat that he can make big enough to get out of range of Languish pretty easily, and also is naturally immune to Bile Blight and Drown in Sorrow.
Oh. Those are the options for the players. And we'll get ready for game number 2 in just a moment. But next weekend, it's already here. The regional championships. I can't believe August 1st is going to be here next Saturday. It's going by fast.
Right around the corner. You can go to StarCityGames.com/regionals for more information. If you live in the United States and you're not playing in the Pro Tour next weekend, this is a great opportunity to get Open Series points, invites to the Invitational, and just a large cash standard tournament. So head over to the website, get more information, and check out the regional championship closest to you.
Can't forget about that playmat. Can't forget about the awesome playmat, the play on Ellen DeGeneres' Oscar photo. We've taken all of our Creature Collection and Game Night favorites, put them on this playmat, free and exclusive to the first 200 players. There's that F word again.
Free. And you know what I love about that map? There's a venue. You know what it says? Northern New Jersey. Every single time there's something going on in Northern New Jersey, it just gets labeled New York. You want to get a sense of my influence on this operation is that things get labeled Northern New Jersey and not New York anymore.
This is how you've won.
This is how I've won.
It's all about the small battles.
The Northern New Jersey Football Giants. The Northern New Jersey Jets.
No one calls them that.
I call them
No
that.
one will ever call them that. That's just horrible. It's really bad.
That's where they're from.
I don't think Chris VanMeter would approve. A player from originally the Tacoma area, but now resides in Roanoke, Washington with his 17 Open Series top 8s. 4 W's for Chris. Former college football player up in Spokane, a great chess player, and successful Kickstarter-er, if that's a word. Kickstarter-er?
Kickstarter.
Yeah, with 2 of them, 1 for Beer Power and 1 for his BBD versus CVM playmat.
Typically referred to as ran a successful Kickstarter.
But
Not is a Kickstarter.
he's a successful Kickstarter-er.
Yeah.
That's it.
2's a lot.
So, yeah, I'm clocking at 0. So, yeah, 2 is a lot for him. 17 Open Series top 8s is a lot, too. So, he also has, of course, that invitational runner-up finish at Season 2 where he lost to Ali Antrazi in the finals. So, it's been a good couple of years here for Chris on the Open Series.
Absolutely. And almost all done with Stormbreath Dragon.
Yes, which is why I'm a little surprised to see him not playing it this weekend. But Languish is a card, and it's having a huge effect on things.
Yep.
Currently up a game right now, however, against Danny Jessup, number 4 on our Season 3 leaderboard on the Open Series. Again, the race is starting to pick up. Not a lot of dates left in Season 3, though it has been a bit of a longer season. You know, we have the weekend off for regionals, which I know Jessup will be playing in to get some more Open Series points. After that, we go to Washington, D.C. Then, a little break for the Grand Prix in London. Resume things in Charlotte, and then the Dirty Jersey.
Yep. Out in Edison, I believe.
I believe that is
typically
the
where the
case.
venue is.
Yeah.
Woodbridge area. Close to Staten Island. A homecoming
For you.
for me.
Yeah, for you. Welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real shame. The weekend of the Invitational, of course, I know this. The week before is WWE SummerSlam at the Barclays Center. Just didn't line up right.
Yeah.
Been a great way to spend
Pretty
the
close.
weekend. Yeah.
We'll be in Charlotte instead,
Yeah, we will.
where no SummerSlam, but presumably we could find some underground wrestling leagues if we were feeling so inclined.
Right after your basketball
I
challenge.
have to imagine it's popular in Charlotte.
Maybe.
I would guess.
You can have a basketball game. I'll have wrestling matches against
Yeah.
people. It'll be great. A Temple of Silence is where Jessup will start. He'll probably be taking place in the basketball area of
Yeah.
our challenges. VanMeter will draw. A Temple of Enlightenment is where Chris will start. Top card to the bottom. Jessup will take a draw step here. Thoughtseize is what he's found. Time to fire that off, see what VanMeter's working with. A couple copies of Defiant Strike, 2 Seeker of the Ways, a Valor Stance, a Temple of Plenty, and a Flooded Strand here for Chris.
And as a rule, I like taking Defiant Strikes out of hand. To me, it seems like one of the most important cards in the deck. If you feel like the game is going to go on for a really long time, I don't mind taking cards like Treasure Cruise, but Defiant Strike is what really makes this deck hum. I think Danny has another copy of Thoughtseize, and we may see him here just strip both the threats out of Chris's hand, which appears what he's doing instead.
I think that's a perfectly legitimate idea. Take away the threats, leave him with some rubbish.
With one Thoughtseize and no information about Danny's hand, I often like taking the Defiant Strike there, but with 2 Thoughtseizes, just get all the threats out of his hand.
Here's a Temple of Plenty. Back to Jessup we go. Read the Bones. Maybe this will stop his mana troubles. Certainly had some last game. One main deck copy of Read the Bones. His list is a little bit different this weekend. You know, you've got main deck Read the Bones, one main deck copy of Bob Light, some Languish action going on here, a main deck copy of Tragic Arrogance.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's going pretty deep.
Yep. One in his main, one in his board. There's a Flooded Strand of passing in the turn. So the Thoughtseize looks to be pretty good so far, taking away both those Seeker of the Ways. How about another one? Well, VanMeter's not going to show you any creatures. They'll show you 3 Defiant Strikes, a Valor Stance, and a Windswept Heath. So Valor Stance bites the dust. And Jessup will pass the turn back with Hero's Downfall at the ready. VanMeter going to draw. Now he's got a full house. Well, not anymore.
Yeah.
But he had.
Strikes over.
Yeah, 2 Windswept Heaths and 3 Defiant Strikes. Here's the Siege Rhino. Now it's time for Jessup to get to work.
He has to cast the Siege Rhino at some point. The risk here is that it lets Chris start to cycle some of these Defiant Strikes. And with 4 Treasure Cruises in Chris's deck post-board, he can power through this.
Well, here's Defiant Strike number 1. That'll be cycled. Picked up a copy of Monastery Mentor.
Yeah, now stop.
Yeah. I'm going to hold steady.
Yep.
Draw a card now. An island is what Chris has found. He'll start by sacrificing a couple of fetch lands here. Flooded Strand and Windswept Heath. We'll see what lands he wants to search up. And it looks like Monastery Mentor is going to be on the way in just a second.
And now the question is, how much cycling of these Defiant Strikes does Chris want to do while Danny is tapped out, versus how much of it does he want to save in response to a removal spell or what have you? I don't think it's palatable to simply play Monastery Mentor and cycle twice this turn, because Danny can just go untap Languish, and then you've got nothing.
Yeah, it's really bad news. There is the Mentor. But you can wait. Be patient. I mean, Danny knows that you have the 2 Defiant Strikes, but there's not really a lot that he can do about it.
I think that I would prefer for Chris to cycle one of them that turn, because that gives him a look at Treasure Cruise.
Yeah, but I mean, my I guess counter to that would just be, what's the rush to resolve a Treasure Cruise?
In this spot, like, now Chris is in a spot where he has to initiate the action with a cycling card, which is pretty bad if that gets fizzled. Danny's realistically in the spot where he can have 2 removal spells in the same, in the same spot, and you're still vulnerable to Languish. So I think the upshot of looking for Treasure Cruise this turn, would have been worth it to me, because I think the value of sitting on both your copies of Defiant Strike is nebulous. I'm not sure what the upshot is of saving 2 versus having 1 back.
Sure, if he wants to start the action, he doesn't have to. He can be preemptive with it of just targeting the Siege Rhino. See, now he can just respond to the action with just cycling 2 Defiant Strikes if he wants to. I think that Chris just sitting here and not doing anything is the best way to play this turn, because I just don't think there's much of a rush. He's at 15, and he doesn't have to force any action at any point. Because like if he just passes with Monastery Mentor up and just says, okay, go, it's on Danny to actually do something about it. And it also gives him a pretty decent protection around Languish by not doing anything. He's going to strike again, so he's going to get 2 Mentor tokens. And now his Mentor will die. And then maybe there's a Bile Blight here from Danny or not. We'll see.
Looks like he's sitting on Dromoka's command.
See if Danny wants to get aggressive or not. Okay, it looks like he does. I don't think anything goes too wrong with an attack here. I mean, like, he'll take some damage maybe on the way back. It's unclear how much, though.
I mean, it's 4-2 on the damage race right now, and if Chris initiates anything in an attempt to make the clock faster, then Dromoka's command becomes very good.
Danny's going to aggressively use Dromoka's command here to fight one of those tokens and put a counter on Siege Rhino. So 5 damage will come across. VanMeter's down to 10. 10-12 in favor of Jessup right now. Ordeal of Ordeal of Thassa in VanMeter's hand right now. I think a copy of Disdainful Stroke, too.
Now the door's open for Chris to resolve something. I think there was maybe an opportunity last turn for Danny just to say go and sit back on Dromoka's command. Because card for card, his deck's so much better, and it forces Chris to find some action. Maybe Danny feels like with Treasure Cruise in Chris's deck that he needs to be a little bit more aggressive than he otherwise would be.
You're going to get a Prowess trigger, and there's also going to be a counter here as well. So a pretty decent attack there from VanMeter. We're definitely in a racing situation as now VanMeter takes the lead. It's 10-9 in his favor as we head back Jessup's way. And remember, VanMeter does have a copy of Disdainful Stroke in hand. But a lot of the removal in Jessup's deck does only cost 3 or less. Like the Hero's Downfall that he's staring at right now. Jessup going to go down to 8 for a second black mana to cast Hero's Downfall. Wants to cast that now. Get this out of the way. Don't have to worry about any God's Willing nonsense. Rather have it be on his turn than the opponent's. Now it's an attack for 5. VanMeter going to go down to 5. It's a 2-turn clock. Jessup finishes things up with a Sandstep Citadel. VanMeter going to go down to 4. Thin his deck out of a land for what might be his last draw step of the game.
He's dead to the Rhino next turn regardless, so might as well make it a little bit more likely he finds Valorous Stance or Treasure Cruise.
There's a basic Plains. VanMeter will draw. It's a God's Willing. That's not. Oh no! Oh no! Chris thought the match was over.
Game 1 was so hopeless that Chris forgot he even won it. That's
Yeah.
how bad the game was going for him in Game 1.
Actually, kind of tipped his hand a little bit there. Showed disdainful stroke.
Not too surprising to see.
Yeah. That's definitely going to be in either way. These two players are tied up now, Chris VanMeter and Danny Jessup, 1-1 as we get ready here for game number 3. I guess game 1 was that hopeless. He actually forgot that he won it. That was such a weird game, I tell you.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really weird game. So we'll see if either player wants to go back to the drawing board here as far as sideboard is concerned. I don't think too much changes player draw here, though.
Drown in Sorrow to me is the swing card. Although, again, with Chris having Monastery Mentor, it's possible that Drown in Sorrow stays in regardless, but that to me is a card that's way more powerful for Danny when he's on the play than when he's on the draw.
Hey, you know it's the summertime?
Yeah.
You know what that means?
Summer Creature Collection.
Totally. It's finally here. Now. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I know this is your first time seeing this.
I have a guess as to the name. I have a guess.
Okay, so we've got our card sleeves, our playmats, our dice bags for the Summer Creature Collection. We got the pig.
Yep.
And the pig, so it's kicking mud in the face of another pig.
Great.
Okay. The monkey, we were always wondering what Furious George was running from. Other monkeys.
Okay.
He's just stole bananas from other monkeys.
No, my first guess was right. He
Okay.
stole those bananas.
He stole those bananas. The Kraken, just kind of hanging in the tub.
Right.
Nothing too bad going on there. And now, your guess here?
I'm guessing, is that a Deathrite Salmon?
That's correct. That's correct. Very good. Deathrite Salmon is here. That's right.
Okay.
Available on card sleeves, playmats, dice bags, StarCityGames.com/creature collection. That's the summer 2015 collection right there.
Yep. The gang's all here.
It sure is. Deathrite Salmon. I love it. I love it. As soon as I saw there, no, what you can't see, you couldn't see there. There are pictures of dead fish. Mm-hmm. There are also pictures of sushi in there.
Okay.
A bunch of other things going on.
Sushi
in
is
the
also
artwork.
dead fish.
It's true. Thank you. Thank you. Had that for dinner yesterday, so it better than dead.
Technically, it's the same thing.
It's technically dead. You're
the
right.
same thing.
But that is the 2015 Creature Collection. So there you are. Delver's Squeak was fun, but the Deathrite Salmon,
Yeah.
I'm much more of a fan of. I can tell.
It's also easier to say, which is nice on a selfish level.
I suppose.
Delver of Squeakrits took me a little while to get the. It's an awkward 2-syllable word.
Once you get it, though, it's easy to do. But the first time, there's definitely an adjustment period.
I tried pronouncing it like it was 1 syllable. That was what was helping me.
Oh,
When I
okay.
would pause, Deathrite Salmon, that's easy.
Deathrite Salmon. Bang. Activated. Sushi. A powerful, powerful card. Danny Jessup is the player we'll discuss very quickly here in the Open Series. We saw his brother last round. Danny is 23 from New York, a big sports fan, and someone who's really looking to qualify for the Players' Championship this year as he was the odd man out. You see his top 8 at the Season 4 Invitational last year. That's where he got second place. One match went away from beating Dylan Donegan to go to the Players' Championship.
And honestly, probably one match went away at any point in the whole season.
Yeah.
Because he fell 1 point short of getting an at-large bid and lost in the finals to Dylan Donegan in Seattle. Played 4 years of varsity lacrosse and a big New York sports fan.
We'll see what Jessup can do here as he's getting ready for game number 3 against Chris VanMeter. Both players will take a look at the opener. And I saw, last week when you guys played basketball, pretty good looking jump shot.
Yeah.
Pretty good looking jump shot. Got to give it to him. Not the athlete he once was, but pretty good looking jump. That's also true.
Who is in the
That's also
Magic
true.
community?
I can't imagine that I used to play soccer when I was young. Jessup going to take a mulligan. Running up and down the grass fields of Ohio for 15 years.
And now, just sit in a chair with me.
Yep. Where did it all go wrong? That's the question. I know more about boy bands than I do how to play soccer. Truly, truly embarrassing.
And creatures creature types also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Snake Elf Druid on Coiling Oracle. Just rattle it off like it's nothing.
Yep.
I wonder what the most obscure creature type is.
I think Abu. I'm trying to think of which one. I think Abu Jafar says summon leper. That got changed when they cleaned up the creature types a couple years ago. But that one's pretty obscure.
I'm sure Twitter will let us know.
Yeah, if you go through Arabian Nights, Antiquities, The Dark, and Legends, there are some hilarious ones.
Temple of Enlightenment to start things off.
I'm not 100% sure it's Abu Jafar, but I think that's the one for Arabian Nights. That is an obscure creature type.
Temple of Silence is where Jessup will start things. Another Temple of Enlightenment here for Chris.
Boom.
But there it is. There it is. If Abu dies without regenerating, which is while participating in an attack or defense, that's the first line of text. All creatures Abu is blocking or being blocked by are also killed and may not regenerate.
Yeah. Ironically, for someone afflicted with leprosy, very good with banding. Good in a band.
That's good. That's really good. That first line of text is really great.
Yeah, that's a pretty obscure creature type.
That's really great. Here's the Thoughtseize from Danny. See Chris's hand. Here's an Ordeal of Thassa, Dramoka's Command. Let's take a Treasure Cruise along with a couple of Violence. No green mana yet here for Chris. And the favorite hoplite on the battlefield.
Now, without green mana right now, two dangerous card drawing spells in Chris's hand here. If Danny is thinking this long about it, I'm assuming there is no copy of Ultimate Price in the hand, and if he's taking Ordeal of Thassa, that would further confirm that.
Some people mentioning the cards from Simic and Gatecrash with their weird creature types.
Yep.
Like Croconora, which was a crocodile frog, and Shamble Shark, which was a fish crab. But that was part of the appeal.
Right, it's like
the
they're experimenting.
Yeah.
They're in the laboratory trying to make things happen. That's why you have all those oddball creature types.
You know, someone mentioned Uncle Istvan, which is summon
Uncle, right?
Uncle Istvan.
Oh, it's Uncle Istvan, yeah. I thought it was summon Uncle. So that's my
Which
bad.
would be maybe I'm not sure if that's funnier or not. It's ridiculous either way.
I think it's definitely more funny as summon Uncle.
Basic Force to be searched up here by Jessup. And you're off to a pretty good start. Just looking for that green mana. The follow-up now for Danny after the fetch. I'll go with Glare of Heresy to take care of Battle-Wise Hoplite. To VanMeter we go. He'll take a draw step.
And Chris's hand just does not have a lot going on right now. He has found a mana confluence that pairs nicely with the Dramoka's Command. Now that's castable, but other than that, he's looking at some lands and a Treasure Cruise and a graveyard that is not that well stocked.
Yeah, I did find some green mana for the Jamoka's Command in his hand, but that's not really doing all that much right now either. And all he's got is a 1/2 on the battlefield. There's Llanowar Waste. We'll see what the follow-up will be here for Jessup. Oh, he might just pass the turn as he's doing some calculations here, it appears. Hero's Downfall right now. See if this resolves. Chris going to give this some thought. This could just be some sort of very large bluff by Chris.
Yeah, Chris is just getting a card in his graveyard.
Wow, okay. He feels his hand is that bad. He just Jamoka commanded just to get a card in the graveyard.
That is pretty sad for Chris.
Yeah.
That he Jamoka's command to put a card in the graveyard and just drew Flooded Strand, so he would have had it.
Yep.
But if he doesn't have Jamoka's command, his hand is Treasure Cruise, Jamoka's command, 2 cards in the graveyard. What's going on here?
Yeah.
I can respect that Chris felt that he needed to do this, but I wish he could take it back now knowing that he was drawing a Flooded Strand.
3 cards coming. And it doesn't look like much of a follow-up here for VanMeter, so we head back to Jessup in his Option control deck. Ultimate price to draw. A Morph. Likely to be a Den Protector. Pass that turn back over to VanMeter, who will take a draw step. Just drew 3 cards last turn. This is a 4th new one. See if he can get anything going now. Does have a copy of Stratus Dancer in hand. He'll start by sacrificing a Windswept Teeth. Forest or Plains on the way. There will be a basic Plains.
Yeah, 1 copy in the sideboard. Pretty good in this matchup. Danny's got a lot of good 3 and 4 mana spells, especially Languish. And also, Chris's deck seems like the type that could have Hidden Dragon Slayer in it, so you can get a little tricky with your morph bluffs.
Well, that's a big plan. Jessup's turn. Temple. Take a look at that top card. Card looks like it's going to stay on top. Here come the beatdowns. And 2 damage will come across. Mana Confluence to draw a lot of lands in Chris's hand. He's also got a forest and an island over there. Jeez.
Yeah, only 22 in the deck total.
There's basic forest. Here's an attack for 2. Jessup appears to be taking that 2. But nothing doing here for VanMeter right now. Jessup looks as though he's going to unmegamorph that Den Protector.
Just waiting for the go-ahead from Chris.
Yeah. We'll rebuy. Looks like a copy of Hero's Downfall. He'll take a draw now.
Active player finishes your turn, receives a 5 additional turns. If you have a time extension and don't have a judge at your match, please call for 1 now.
Here's an attack for 3. VanMeter down to 12, tie game. Case of Koilos. Is there an Elspeth looming? There is. Yep, might as well.
Chris showed the Shameful Stroke, but with the board as clear as it is right now, I don't mind Danny rolling the dice here.
No, me
Elspeth
either.
resolves, he's in great shape, and Chris has only got 3 cards in hand and hasn't been doing very much.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to get in here. VanMeter might cycle Defiant Strike in response to maybe work his way into a Disdainful Stroke. That's kind of best case situation. Yeah, that's in. 3 soldiers on the way. And Jessup will pass the turn. VanMeter going to unmore Stratus Dancer now because he needs the counter, needs to get going in the air.
Yeah, ground's no good.
Yep.
So, new plan.
Temple of Plenty to draw. VanMeter will start there. Take the opportunity to scry.
Ordeal of Thassa would be the good one here.
Might be the best one.
Problem is, Chris is still at risk of just getting beaten down from Danny's side of the table.
Ordeal is weirdly good and weirdly bad. It's good because it's damaging the cards. It's bad because then you might have to kill Elspeth.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, Elspeth will just tick down. Here's Defiant Strike. Looks like 4 damage going to come across. Oh, just pass that turn back. Jessup will draw. Jessup looking to close this game out over the course of 2 turns. 6 power on the battlefield. In for 6. We're going up.
And Danny just going to sit back here on 2 removal spells and dare Chris to do something.
Pretty comfortable situation to be in. There's an island. Monastery Mentor. And now it's time to D up, it looks like.
There's so many awesome avenues for Danny in this spot. He can try to use removal spells to kill the Mentor. He can simply untap and attack and then languish if he wants to do that. And plus Elspeth again. It's really hard for this to go wrong.
I think so too. When your opponent puts the brakes on, you see an end step, Hero's Downfall. From Jessup going to go after the Monastery Mentor. A Johnny's Presence is going to trump that. There'll also be a Mentor token on the way, a Jacob Wilson Monk to be exact. Danny just wants to make sure nothing goes too wrong here. Downfall taken care of by Johnny's Presence. He'll untap. Den Protector currently can be blocked by Stratus Dancer. They're both 3/2s. This might make things a little bit easier if this is a Thoughtseize. Yeah. See exactly what Chris is working with, which is nothing.
Right. So now Danny can, attack, language, plus Elspeth, untap, and then the emblem's ready to go.
Yep.
That should be a wrap. Getting a couple points of damage this turn.
Just wants to make sure no mistake is made. Come on in. Block's pretty straightforward.
And you always have to be worried about Treasure Cruise into the nuts, but this line of play from Danny feels very safe.
There's the exchange of resources. Jessup left over with 4 soldier tokens. VanMeter with the Monastery Mentor. I do like languishing here quite a bit. Get that Mentor off the table. Put 3 more soldiers on the battlefield from Elspeth. Threaten the ultimate. And make VanMeter draw actual perfect. And I don't know if there is a perfect here. And a Johnny's Presence certainly isn't it. Now they can shake hands as Danny Jessup wins this match here over Chris VanMeter. 2-1. Number 4 on our Season 3 leaderboard takes care of number 6. And for Danny Jessup, a big win there. As he's starting off the day after 2 buys, 2-0.
And not the easiest matchup either. Typically, at least public perception is, Abzan's behind the matchup. And I generally think that's the case. But language is a helpful tool in the matchup, for sure.
Without question.